to me and Akunta Mining. The Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, is finalizing its report with respect to Exim Bank transactions. Dockets are in preparation for the buffer stock case and the drip equipment case. Investigations are ongoing into the African Cup of Nations case, the Mart Set case, and approximately 20 other cases currently. Let me be clear, every single case of corruption that needs to be investigated is being looked into. And once evidence is found to ground the prosecution, that will happen and happen swiftly. Looking within, we launched a code of conduct for public officials with an insistence on strict compliance. A high-level working group has been inaugurated to draft a new anti-corruption strategy aimed at strengthening ethical governance and institutional coordination. My fellow citizens, the scourge of Galamsey is receiving much attention. We've established the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, as the Central Operations Command Center coordinating the national fight against illegal mining and its associated environmental degradation. In a coordinated effort across all security agencies and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, 440 excavators have been seized. Over 1,400 arrests have been made, with suspects awaiting prosecution. Over 300 Shamfang machines have been confiscated and destroyed. Over 900 water pumps seized from illegal mining sites have been handed over to the Ministry of Agriculture for distributing to farmers for irrigation purposes. Of Ghana's 288 forest reserves, 44 had previously suffered varying degrees of destruction from illegal mining. Notably, 9 of those reserves had become no-go zones due to the presence of armed groups. Through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and with support from the security agencies, we've successfully repossessed all 9 of these red-zoned forest reserves. However, over the weekend, the Jimira Forest Reserve and the Anwia Futu section of the Ofinch Shelter Belt was re-invaded by illegal miners after these were handed back to the Forestry Commission. The military is currently working with NIMOS to repossess those reserves and establish a permanent presence in those liberated forest reserves to prevent re-incursion by illegal miners. 980 personnel have been recruited, trained and deployed in the Western and Savannah regions. They conduct daily operations on major river bodies, serving as community vanguards to ward off illegal mining activities. An additional 1,020 personnel will be recruited and deployed by the end of the year, bringing the total force to 2,000 blue water guards. The next phase will focus on dechemicalizing and restoring our water bodies to their pristine state. Feasibility studies for this critical restoration efforts are currently underway. In collaboration with the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Finance, GRA Customs Division, and the Ports and Harbours Authority, we've instituted a system for the proactive tracking of all imported excavators and earth-moving equipment from the port of entry. 1,200 excavators are going through the permitting process from the Transport Ministry, clearance from Customs registration with DVLA, and tracking at the Minerals Commission. So far, we've registered 1,015 earth-moving and mining equipment. 647 have been registered and fitted with tracking devices. There are an additional 600 equipment at the port awaiting clearance. An additional 350 tracking devices are expected by September 12, 2025 to enhance this monitoring effort. The Constitutional Review Commission is actively engaging stakeholders across the country, gathering views on how best to shape the future framework of Ghana's democracy. This inclusive approach ensures that voices of citizens, civil society, and institutions are reflected in the evolving constitutional order. Friends, internal security is important for economic progress. Pursuant to our commitment to improving security, we have earmarked 1 billion Ghana cedis to retool our security agencies. The Ministry of Energy has recently granted a declaration of commerciality for the Eban Akoma oil and gas discoveries in Cape 3 Points, Block 4, confirming their commercial viability. This paves the way for the joint venture partners ENI Vitol, Woodfields, and the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to proceed with a full plan of development of this oil well. This milestone brings us closer to increased oil and gas production, job creation, and enhanced energy security, reinforcing our commitment to responsible resource management for the benefit of all Ghanaians. We've also approved the construction of a second gas processing plant, GPP2, to double our national processing capacity and set the stage for cheaper, cleaner, and more reliable power generation. This landmark project alone is expected to save the country close to $500 million every 2 years by drastically cutting our reliance on expensive imported liquid fuel. Beyond the cost reduction, it is projected to create over 1,000 direct and indirect jobs, fueling both industry and livelihoods. We can all attest to the fact that the looming threat of Dumsor we inherited in January this year has been averted. Through strategic interventions and swift action, power supply has remained stable across the country, ensuring uninterrupted electricity for households, businesses, and essential services. We've made significant strides in restoring fiscal decentralization. In the past 8 years, only 40% to 50% of the District Assembly's Common Fund was reaching metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, constraining their capacity to deliver local services. Our government has reversed this trend. District assemblies are now receiving 80% of their allocation directly. Of the 7.57 billion allocated for DACF this year, approximately 6.1 billion has gone straight to local assemblies, with a minimum of 25 million allocated to each MMDA. Already the first quarter disbursement of 987.97 million has been released to kickstart district level development. To ensure focused impact, Cabinet has approved expenditure guidelines for the districts. 25% of the fund is to support design and construction of what we call 24-hour economy model markets. 10% is allocated for health, with a minimum of 2 CHIPS compounds per district. Education, 1 kg, 1 primary, 1 GS block, potable water, at least 10 boreholes, environmental sanitation and school furniture. 7.5% for MMDA administration, monitoring and evaluation, and 20% is allocated to finish and finished legacy projects. Simultaneously, all statutory funds such as 2.03 billion to the National Health Insurance Fund and 2.71 billion to GET Fund, covering NHIS, arrears, and free SHS, have been released in full, underscoring our commitment to public service delivery and local empowerment. Next week, I'll cut the sword in 3 locations to signal the start of the Big Push program. The first phase, understandably, covers mainly the road sector. Everyone will admit that over the last 8 years, our road infrastructure has deteriorated remarkably. This year alone, almost 14 billion Ghana cedis of our oil and gold revenues have been earmarked for the Big Push program. Critical road projects such as the Ofankon-Sawam Road, which were chronically underfunded, have been transferred under the Big Push program and recently received a release of almost 1 billion cedis to ensure speedy completion by the end of second quarter of next year. My media colleagues, our reset agenda remains on course, and I've remained unwavering in my commitment not only to the promise I made to you in the run-up to the 2024 elections, but to the principles of honesty, transparency, and probity and accountability that define good governance. I'm resolute in laying foundations for economic recovery, resetting our institutions to reflect the demands of modern governance and enhance service delivery for every Ghanaian. I'm driven by a deep determination to see the dreams of our forebears for an economically independent and self-reliant Ghana realized in our lifetime. I'm equally determined to restore Ghana's rightful place as a respected voice and actor on the global stage. With your continued trust and support, I'm confident that we will not only meet these goals, but also build a nation that serves the hopes of this generation and the aspirations of generations yet unborn. May God bless us all, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. At this stage, we will delve straight into the question and answer session, which will be guided by the following rubric. There will be one question per questioner, and this is to ensure that we maximize the time. This program is supposed to last for 1.5 hours, and we are due to leave here at 9:30. I would also entreat you to avoid lengthy preambles to questions so that we can afford as many of you the opportunity to ask questions. There will be 5 batches of questioning with 4 questions in each batch. 2 microphones will be placed on either side of the middle row to enable these questions to be asked. So at this stage, I'll call on the ushers and stewards to position the microphones so that the questions could be asked. Okay, so the gentlemen on either side of the middle row are with the microphone. So if you want to ask a question, please put up your hand. You catch my attention, I will. All right, so we have the president of the Ghana Journalists Association who is supposed to embody your collective aspirations. So I would accord him the courtesy of asking the first question. So Mr. Jumfo, you may ask the first question. After which I see Kojo Prekodankwa, and then the Moses of Bloomberg, and then one lady in the middle to bring the number to 4. Mr. Jumfo, you may ask your question, please.
Thank you, Honorable Mr. President. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and having been given the opportunity to set the tone for the media encounter. Permit me to commend you for availing yourself for this media encounter and for your commitment to transparency and accountability. Your willingness to face scrutiny just 8 months into your term set a commendable example of good governance. We also wish to commend you for your assurance and firm commitment to safeguarding the safety and protection of journalists across the country. Now my question, Mr. President, as you may be aware, remuneration and general working conditions in the media are not the best, especially in the state-owned media, which falls under the authority of government. This situation is a key factor in our low ranking on the World Press Freedom Index under the economic indicator. What measures is your government putting in place to improve working conditions in the state-owned media and also to provide relief for those in the private media? Also, assault on journalists are on the rise, and I know this is of great concern to you as a journalist yourself and a proud member of the Inky fraternity. The Ghana Journalists Association would therefore like to know what your government is doing to address this disturbing trend. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Kojo, you may have the microphone now.
Good evening. My name is Kojo Prekodankwa, Kesben Media. In your remarks, you did touch on the issue of mining, and I want to commend your government with the achievements you chalked. But recently, we heard that Ghana Water Company is proposing almost about 280% increment in tariffs. One of the major reasons they raised has to do with Galamsey and how it is affecting them to get us good or potable water. In this way, I would want to ask, Mr. President, would you then consider the argument that we should have the state of emergency when it comes to illegal mining? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kojo. I believe I called the Moses of Bloomberg. Yes.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. My name is Eko Moses, a correspondent of Bloomberg. Your Excellency, Ghana's economic indicators have turned into a positive trajectory, and buoyed by the ratings you also referenced and investor confidence. Do you think that that gives enough scope for you to go back to the international capital market, maybe for your first Eurobond after the defaults? Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take the final question in this batch from the lady whose hand is up.
But I say, Ediamejeso ene apina pukua when near me wo Adam Brand Sadum TV and Adam FM. Masembisa Efa and Kania boy and the yenim say ECG a proposed 225%. Yenim said me more and tumo by a base 2.45 in July, a cost by 14.75. Then you now see him say a bino one is so the 24 economy. What the Bayejuma na Ghana for the Duenya Mufaso. It is say ECG the 225% increment eba. Yenim hawa proposal no any hunkumudi bekone percentage of the betina. Ebeko Ghana for Bibena company say ano yedin. Yebisa se betumenya susanso ewo 24 economy no so Ghana for butum ena ebium so aban be hwese obeso asene eye subsidy ama omanfo ho atoma na medase.
So His Excellency the President will field these questions at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President of GGNE. Your question is a double question, one on remuneration and the other on assault of journalists. With regards to remuneration, I would say that it's not only journalists in the state-owned media who are dissatisfied with their salaries. Public service salaries are not living wages. I agree with the TUC that we must work towards a living wage. All of us are dissatisfied with the salary we get as public servants. The private sector offers better remuneration, but that's why we have to work together to grow the national cake so that we can pay ourselves better. And that is why there's agitation for cancellation of Article 71 in the Constitution, because we all must feel the pinch so that we can grow things together. But when you cushion a certain constitutional class and they have more cushy remuneration than the other people, then it creates a kind of discrimination between public service. And so our advocacy has been for an independent emoluments commission that would deal with the salaries and wages of all persons in the public sector so that we grow those wages together. In our first incarnation under Professor Mills, we established a single spine salary structure. And that salary structure was supposed to uniform out wages in the public sector so that the disparity would not be too wide. So if you are a secretary in GBC compared to a secretary in, say, Bank of Ghana, there will not be that very wide disparity. Unfortunately, the single spine atonsium, because of the inability to maintain the discipline in public sector wages. Over the last 8 years, the group that is able to strike the most gets more addition to their wages than those that don't go on strike. And so the disparities have occurred again. And so we're in consultation with organized labor to see what we can do about reforming public sector wages. And I'm sure that if those wages are made better, journalists working in the public sector would also have an improvement in their remuneration. With the private sector, government does not have control there. And what happens is we have such a proliferation of private media that advertising revenue is not enough, to be able to maintain the kinds of salaries that we all expect. Maybe if we had fewer, then the advertising revenue would go around and people can have more. But our constitution guarantees freedom to establish a media of mass communication. And so you cannot restrain how many radio stations you have or how many newspapers you have. And so it's something that we have to live with for a while. Natural competition will phase out the stations that are not competitive, and those that are able to survive will see that they're able to make more money from advertising. The main revenue for media all over the world is advertising. And so we'll see how that goes. I've condemned assaults on journalists in any form. Journalists are doing their job, and their job is to bring news to the doorsteps of our people and to inform them, educate and entertain them. And so at every event you will have journalists there. Unfortunately, some security personnel have developed a penchant for just harassing journalists. And so it's a matter of educating people. It's a matter of, sanctioning people who assault journalists. And I've been speaking with my president of GJA, saying that we're going to bring them together with the security agencies so that they must carry out an awareness amongst their people who provide security at events, that if you see a journalist at an event, he is also doing a job like you, the security person, are doing your job. And so you don't have the right to assault them or to manhandle them. And so we'll keep working at it. I mean, definitely, as a member of the GJA, a lifetime member of the GJA, there's no way I'll condone assault of journalists in any form. We do occasional review of tariffs. And when these tariffs are about to be reviewed, proposals are requested from the utility organizations. And so I noted that recently Ghana Water presented their proposal, and Electricity Company of Ghana also presented their proposal. It doesn't mean that the proposal they present is what is going to be implemented. We have the regulator, which is the PURC, that looks at all the factors, including the exchange rate, including the cost of production and all that, before they determine what increase in tariff is allowed. And so the fact that you hear that water company says they're going to increase by 200 and something percent does not necessarily mean that PURC is going to allow them to do that. Now, meaning about Obusa ECG then also, the same for both utilities. ECG so I propose 200 and something percent, but I know interest PURC budget to say me into electricity tariffs musa. Share a nyoma a core electricity production to say fuel nesan nyoma and sana omashe senya omo de tariff ne besi. Na MRP at the frontier your tariffs across run is a nipa bebre entia. Until we share ECG say your case commercial and technical losses are almost 42%. I just say of electricity almost ton, almost to me a J a home akechia of only about 58%. Na eno anka wiase afana bia ankasa ejumeya se wo ye ejumebia na bibia wo ton bia wonya just return of 58% anka by now ejuma na gu nso akoya aban de se so na aban abeboa so na aban abeboa enti afi de ya sesa omo hwe ejuma no so na ya kenya omo se omo sorry na omo nante na nia onkrofo mu wia iram kania no ni ade nyina ye cheche omo na ye ntwe omo aso efise se ye nyina atwi a ebema eto no ebo na fom enti ejuma ye begu so aye Bloomberg, yes, we're quite happy with the outcomes of the reforms that we have been implementing in the economy. And we have survived without going to the capital markets. We've survived without borrowing. Who could have thought some years ago that Ghana's economy could be run without going to the external market to borrow? And yet, we've survived. And so we shouldn't be in a hurry to go back to the capital market. All we've done is to reorder our expenditure and push funds to areas that are of priority. And so that's all we've done. Fiscal discipline, not spending money on wasteful, political interventions and all that. And that is already showing the successes in the market. I mean, we've gone from negative 3.4% on the primary balance to positive 1.1 as at now. And by the end of the year, we'll achieve the target. I'm sure we'll overachieve the target of positive 1.5. And so it's all about discipline in expenditure. And so for me, as the president, I would not favor a quick return to the international capital market. I think we should go like this for a while and consolidate the economy before we look at external financing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now, having taken a set of questions from this side, I would go to this side and take 4 more questions. Kamini, you may have the first shot.
Mr. President, it's Kamini Amano. I'm the host of TV3's Hot Issues. We look forward to your return to the
Bernard Avle of Channel 1, Sadiq Adams, Mahama Haruna from the Savannah region, and there's a lady at the back there, and Joshua from GH1.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Felix. Before my question, I'd like to indicate that there was a question on Galamsey, which I believe has
Yes,
not
I
been
just
answered.
prompted His Excellency, and he will deal with it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. President, thank you for this opportunity. We are told democracy thrives on checks and balances and separation of powers. Your party has a 2/3 majority in Parliament. The Chief Justice you came to meet has been removed, of course, under your hand, although the process was gone through. There is talk of the EC chair and the leadership, quote, not being fit for purpose by members of your party. Some people fear that these developments and others create a situation where the other arms of government are completely subservient to the executive. In fact, one newspaper expressed the fear that you could be morphing into, quote, a supreme leader, unquote. There is a maxim that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Should we be worried in your legacy term that the democracy you came to meet will be well oiled and that the 3 arms of government will work not in subservience but in unison? Thank you.
All right, before I come back to you, we'll cross over to Tamale and take a question from Abdul Mujiz from Tamale. Sagani TV from Tamale. Abdul Mujiz, you have the floor if you can hear me.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, good evening. My name is Ba Abdul Mujiz from Tamale. My question has to do with the Tamale and Yendi water project. I would like to know when.
Well, we seem to have lost Abdul, but I think I can continue for him. He would like to know when the Tamale and Yendi water projects will be executed. Yeah, Sadiq, you have the floor now.
Good evening, Mr. President, and thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Sadiq Adams from Angel TV and Angel Radio. Mr. President, the question is on national unity and peace. There has been a recent spate in social media accounts created by unidentified people purported to be representing ethnic and tribal groups. We have seen some vile attacks, pockets of that on social media, TikTok, and some of them in real life. There has been a number of them, and we observe over 50 that has been set up particularly to attack and inflame ethnic passion and tribal issues. If your security agencies have taken notice of this, what are the measures being taken to ensure that our national unity and cohesion is protected by education and sensitization, as well as trying to put this in a context of not suppressing freedom of expression as well as maintaining the national cohesion that we have because of these kinds of threats and attacks from social media on ethnic basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joshua from GH1.
I am Joshua Kojo Mensah, GH1 Television and Star FM. I'm glad to hear that you personally are telling us that indeed steps have been taken to repeal LI 2462. But then I want to find out from you, the pro-environmentalist groups and then civil society, they want this declaration of a state of emergency. Where's the difficulty in declaring that state of emergency? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Mahama Haruna from Savannah. And then we'll take a final question from the lady from GTV.
Thank you very much, Honorable. My name is Mahama Haruna, as you rightly said, from Savannah region, Inkligi FM. Mr. President, we expected you to say a little on the security situation in the country, especially the unfortunate Boko conflict, and recently the conflict in your own backyard of Savannah region. I know how uncomfortable you are with the conflict in your backyard between Gonjas, who are the landlords, and the Brefos, who are the settlers. They've coexisted for about 100 years until recently. I know you are more worried because almost everyone in your backyard, Gonjas, Brefos, will always vote for you massively, sometimes almost 100%. Now, since 1996, when you contested your first elections, first of all, I just arrived from Bole, where you hail from. And I can say that the people are not happy with the curfew imposed on them. Especially in the beginning, people were dragged from their rooms and beaten. There's evidence to that. Now, let me go to my question.
You may want to wrap up.
No, yeah, I'll wrap up. Mr. President, you've put in place, the Minister of Interior has put in place a mediation committee. Do you think it can resolve the problem? Because some are saying there should have been a reconciliation committee. Moreover, the people are saying since the conflict erupted, they've not heard from you. So what do you have to tell your people? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So the final question will come from the lady from GTV.
Good evening, Your Excellency. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Salamat Kukwapinto. I'm with the Despite Media.
Yeah, pardon me, Despite Media, yes.
Yes, yes, thank you. I wanted to hear something from the creative arts industry when you made